Hello, everybody, and welcome to Trojan Talk, Episode 5. I am Jeff Christenbury alongside TA sophomore Zach Taranko. Zach, how are you doing today?
It's a great, nice Friday outside. Happy to be recording this episode and get into the weekend. School's almost over, which is nice.
We're 1 week away from right now. We'll be 2 blocks away from the end of the school year, which is obviously a very happy time for a lot of people around here, but definitely feels like summer today, very humid. It's going to be a warm weekend, and we have some TA sports to talk about as well. So let's start off, get right into it. We'll talk about baseball. We had Cody Bowker on last week. Talked to him, got some great insight on his pitching style, what the team's been like this year, and his committing to Georgetown. They went out the other day and beat Scarborough on the road. Now, the heel points are pretty screwed up right now in all of the sports, so we don't know exactly where they are at this moment. Maybe by this afternoon when this posts, we will, but we believe that they're going to be the 1 seed. They came in to the game the other day as the 2 seed against Scarborough, who was the 1. They beat Scarborough again. So we think that that's going to put them over the top into the 1 seed, which is obviously just a great thing to be able to host basically throughout the playoffs until the regional finals where they go to St. Joe's as well. So Bowker was dominant against Scarborough, went the whole way. So as you heard him talking last week, baseball probably has the best chance to win a state championship of this spring sports, but again, their history is sketchy when it comes to playoffs, especially as high seeds. So what do you think is maybe different about this year's team that can avoid that early playoff upset, especially when they're playing like a 16 seed because everyone makes the playoffs this year?
Well, yeah, Bowker's probably been, at least in my opinion, the best player on that team this year, and obviously the last couple of years they've struggled and had some first-round exits, which isn't what they want, and they're the number 1 seed this year. So hopefully the team that they're playing is not too great or doesn't have a game, but yeah, the playoffs are hard, especially for baseball, because if the pitcher doesn't play well or the team doesn't play well one game, it's just you might lose, and so it's all up. Not I would say luck, but more of just like who comes ready to play that day. So I think it's more about being prepared for the first game.
It is, and again, because it's such a bizarre scenario where all the teams are making the playoffs, we feel. Let's see, I'm just looking at the schedule now. Looks like they're going to be playing on Tuesday at 4:00 against Wyndham or Westbrook, who would be the 16th seed. They're still figuring out the heels here as well. So big offseason for TA baseball. Maybe it's time for them to get over a hump, and this may be the year to do it, especially with the deep pitching that they have. Also want to talk quickly about a potential playoff home matchup. Now, we've said all along that we thought we were done with our broadcast because boys and girls lacrosse weren't going to have home games, but it looks like boys lacrosse is definitely going to be on the road. They're going to be playing at Scarborough. I don't have the date here. I think it's going to be Tuesday or Wednesday. But the girls lacrosse team may host a preliminary opening round game here on Monday. So keep an eye on at TA Trojan Sports on Twitter and our Facebook page, of course, to see about that game. If we can live stream it, depends on what time and everything. Again, they're still figuring out the heel points on there. So also, we'll talk about some playoffs. Again, the other schedule coming up. We got boys and girls tennis who already have a playoff win under their belt as well. But we want to bring in our guest host for the day. We couldn't, our athletes were tough to get this week because the seniors are gone, so they're not on campus. So it's tough to get them to get in here. But we want to welcome back someone who I guess wish we would have done this podcast a long time ago. So graduate of 2019. Okay, I'd like to welcome to Trojan Talk Cal Christoforo. Cal, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me, guys. I'm happy to be here.
All right, so Cal, it was basically Zach before Zach was Zach. And we had Tyler Catterett, and then we had a few years break, and then Cal came along, and now Zach's coming along, so we kind of have like a dynasty going on here. So Cal spent a lot of years doing TATV broadcasts, a lot of famous victories, a lot of state championships in his time. Not as many in Zach's time yet, but hopefully we'll get there. So Cal, you went off. You graduated 2019 and went off to Syracuse. Just talk about what's life like up there.
Yeah, no, it's been great. It's been weird because obviously with the COVID thing, we got 2 months short from our spring semester last year, so we had a little bit of a normal life, and then this year was all the COVID precautions. So it was kind of weird, but obviously it's much different up there than it is here. It's the college atmosphere, The weather, it gets bad up there. Syracuse. If anybody knows about Syracuse winters, they get pretty brutal up there, but no, it's been great, and obviously it's been a bummer this year where you're not allowed to go to any sporting events. Those were shut down. But it's been exciting. I've had a really fun time my first 2 years, and I'm excited to go back for years 3 and years 4.
So talk about a little bit about that part. What has been the restrictions for just being a fan? If you're Syracuse, obviously basketball is the biggest sport. Has there been any fans to anything allowed this year?
Well, just in about a quarter of the way through the lacrosse season, they started letting fans in the building, but still, the Dome holds 55,000 people, and the first game they're like, okay, 750 students can come. So like
lottery.
There was like nothing, and it didn't sell out. Only like 350 students came because they were like, if you want to go to this game, you will have to get tested inside the Dome between 10 and 2 on Friday.
Wow.
And kids are like, I can't do that.
I got class.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
So a lot of people were disappointed about that, but then they started off first couple games, it was only students, and then they let some fans get in, because if you know anything about the Central New York area, you know how big a deal lacrosse is up there. So they love to go to the games. They were very happy to get in, especially the parents, because they weren't allowed into the games, right? It was just, it's just hard to imagine being a parent and being like, okay, they're letting people in, but they're letting students in. Why can't I go in to watch my son or daughter play lacrosse? So that was the hard part, but eventually got up to where they were allowing, 1,000 fans in with their parents were let in too. And then visiting fans were able to come in, so that as well.
Not bad, not bad. So you have done some broadcasting there, so why don't you talk about your journey through that and kind of tied on to COVID, so you were able to get in some games that others weren't, and how did that feel?
Yeah, no, it was kind of cool. The coolest game I did was I was able to get a women's basketball game this year, and the Dome empty. Like, it was
Weird.
Nobody was in there, and you're sitting courtside at this women's game because that's where the broadcast is set up, and it's just really cool. I mean, everything's right there. You can hear everything the players say being right on the floor. So yeah, it was really cool. But the process of broadcasting at Syracuse it's obviously very competitive with the amount of big names that's come up. I know, you go to some schools, you might be able to jump in right away, but it's really a 1.5, 2-year process to even start getting on Syracuse games. Right. So it's a long thing, big clearance process. You have to, there's these things, 1.5 things, they're called casts. So you got to write these sports casts, and then a senior or a junior says, okay, your cast stinks, fix it. And they tell you that's how you get promoted, and that's a 2-year process. Everyone tells you your casts are terrible for 2 years, and then they're like, okay, your casts are somewhat good enough. You can be on staff at this station, and then you got to do the same thing. You're going to make play-by-play tapes. It was kind of funny to get cleared for football at one of the stations. I was sitting in my room, and I was doing play-by-play for the 2018 state championship Thornton Academy game, because they're like, okay, what team would I know every single player on?
Right, true.
Yeah.
You want to sound like you know what you're doing.
I don't have to make a board, and so I was kind of cool that I popped that up. And Anthony Bracamonte off the left side, it was just kind of fun, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I had a similar experience when I went to Boston University, and this was almost 20 years ago, but I didn't go through the process until later, and I regret it. So, like, the BU radio station, for them, they have a nice broadcasting, but the BU radio station was like a huge, because it's part of the NPR or NPR. So I didn't start doing sports updates till my junior year, and I never even got to a show. Like, the best I could have done as an intern my last year of senior year, but I was like, what's the point? Like, I can't get it. So these big schools, it's great they have all these programs, but you have to start early. So that's for you, Zach, and for everybody else. Like, if it's at these bigger schools, I mean, all the time. Syracuse is known for sports journalism. Like, you hear people all the time. I think, Dave Guthrow used to be a Channel 8 guy. He was a Syracuse guy. It's a bunch of guys, even in the Portland area, that went to Syracuse. So, what do you? So the broadcasting part of it. Let's move on to that part. You did a lot of games here at TA. What's the biggest difference? Just calling a game. Is it the speed? Is it the size? Like, no matter what you've done, like, what is the biggest difference when you broadcast a game there?
Honestly, to start, it's the preparation is the biggest thing, because you look at these high school boards. Okay, say you're doing a high school basketball game, right? There's 12 guys on varsity. Maybe there's some sophomores, some juniors, some seniors, but they're all from Saco, right? So they're all, you don't need to look up, okay, where they're from, what do they do in high school, because you get into these in-depth things, and you're like, okay, this girl's at Boston College, right? But Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of Connecticut, over 2,000 points, like, her mom played at X college, right? Is a lot more preparation, and the boards we have to make are huge, and I got into a lot of women's lacrosse broadcasting, because that's one of the sports you can get on pretty early as a sophomore. You can get into women's lacrosse, and like, they're huge, because the women's lacrosse roster is massive, and you got to do the same thing for every single girl. Okay, she went to this. She had 200 goals in high school. She played club here, right? So the preparation's the biggest difference, because I would take an hour, 2 hours, maybe before a Thornton Academy game to prep. but it's days.
Right.
It's days ahead of time that you got to start your prep. And once you get the home team down, once you get Syracuse down after a game or two, you're fine. But then you're like, okay, they're playing Loyola, Maryland. All right. All right.
People can't even point that out on the map, let alone like,
figure out the 40 girls on Loyola, Maryland's roster.
Right. And not just pronunciation. It's
absolutely. Yeah.
How many people are on a typical broadcast? How many people are working in the crew?
So it depends. We have 2 different stations. The NPR station, like you were mentioning, ours is called WAER, and they do football, basketball, and men's lacrosse. So it's huge. There's like 5 people or 6 people in studio. There's the 2 broadcasters, but throughout the week, if you're on staff, there's 13 of us on staff. You have to make pieces.
Right.
So like you got 4 people making pieces that take all week, and then there's another 25 people that are on what's called desk. So the people on desk, they each have to tweet a quarter or write like a ATN what's happening around the nation, or be in the studio to cut highlights. So that all in all is like a 15, 20 person broadcast. At the other station, a lot of the roles are more combined, so that's more of a 10 person situation there for what is Z89 is the name of that station. They do women's basketball and women's lacrosse. But still, there's a lot that goes into it. And this is not just TV. This is just radio.
Right.
Too.
Exactly,
so
yeah.
it's not just TV. You don't have to account for the camera people.
Right.
Right. So it's a pretty big, layout.
Yeah. Do you guys have a production truck that you bring everywhere?
We do not have a production truck.
Okay.
We
Now, NESCOM has a production truck up in if you ever, again, if anybody's out there looking for a cheaper school or maybe easier school, NESCOM is amazing. They have a truck down there, but that's a huge investment.
Yeah, NESCOM is up and coming. I've watched a lot of their stuff. But we just have the stations themselves.
That's true.
So we have the physical
right
radio
there.
stations.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, very cool. So what would you say about how prepared did you feel going into that? Like, what were comparatively the other people who were in your program? Obviously we did a lot of stuff here at TA. Do other schools did you notice a lot of other schools doing that, or a lot of kids coming in kind of cold turkey saying, I just want to be a sports broadcaster? It
was kind of half and half, and the people that came in with the preparation obviously had a leg up. Like my roommate, who I'm going to be living with hopefully all 4 years, we're living together our 3rd year this year, he didn't do any TV stuff. He did only radio.
Okay.
So he was more prepared for the cast element, like
right.
writing those radio casts that I talked about. That's where he was kind of better at than me off the jump making those. But it obviously helped a ton. I mean, 4 years here, it's stuff that you learn here that literally it lays the groundwork, and that's what people learn their first year. And if you start out a year ahead, that's why this program that you and Zach here are growing and running here is so special, because you start a leg up. You do. Right. You really do.
And we want to give a shout out to Jim Toomey if he's listening.
Yes, of course.
We haven't seen him for a while because of COVID. We didn't want to bring anybody else on campus, but
he'll join us next year. He'll probably join us.
He'll be back next year, definitely for football. So that's very cool. Okay, so as we move on, just general, we'll just kind of get into our normal programming here. So. We'll ask Cal here about TA Sports. Have you followed some TA Sports? Obviously, this last year has been bizarre. We didn't really have a football season. Basketball probably would have been a favorite to win a state championship, but what have you seen? Some of these kids who were probably, freshmen when you were a senior, maybe? Freshmen, sophomores. How was it seeing them kind of grow into seniors and see how they played?
Yeah, no, I followed a lot of the baseball team because I've obviously played baseball. I didn't like the disrespect you're giving to our early playoff exits before I got on. But
Facts, I saw Ben Lambert blow up once. When they were like the 2 or 3 seed and he gave up like 7 runs in the first inning to Wyndham, and so I have a bad taste in my mouth. But I'm hoping they can overcome that. Being
on those teams for 4 years, we won one playoff game. It was a prelim game, but we had to walk off Noble. We were like the 5.
That's right. Yeah.
They were like the 12, and
that was one of those you did it, but boy, shouldn't have been that hard.
Yeah. So. No, I followed the baseball team. Cody Belker was on the varsity team when he was a freshman and I was a senior. I've lost respect for him after his commitment to Georgetown. He could have gone anywhere.
Explain that. People don't know Syracuse. So what's wrong with Georgetown?
Yeah, Georgetown is Syracuse's biggest rival. There's a big thing. Obviously, Syracuse moved away from the Big East, but when Syracuse was in the Big East, it was a really big thing. It dates back to the 70s where Syracuse used to play basketball, and before they played in the Carrier Dome, they played in the Manley Fieldhouse, which is still on campus. And in the 70s, it was going to close. In the last game, it was Syracuse-Georgetown, and Georgetown hit a buzzer beater, and Georgetown is like, Manley Fieldhouse is officially closed. And that was
my goodness.
That was
Sick burn.
that was kind of the stab in the back that we never forgave Georgetown from, and just the legendary games we've had with Georgetown. So Syracuse-Georgetown, really heated rivalry. Cody Belker goes to Georgetown. It kind of hurt. It did.
Yeah.
But no, I've followed him a lot. I followed the team. Very good young team they have this year. Very young team. One of my friends and my friend dad, Tim Smith, helps out with the team. Yep. So I've heard a lot from him, and they're an exciting bunch. Getting the 1 seed, winning the SMAA because there's no play-in tournament. Right. When I was a senior, no, we had to win the SMAA tournament. We did.
Oh, you did?
We won SMAAs. Oh. We won the SMAA tournament. So technically they're back-to-back.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So, but yeah, no, they're an exciting young team. Hopefully they can break the curse.
Yeah, at least get to a state championship, make a deep run.
But the thing about baseball is, like, you guys hit it, like, when I was a senior, we shouldn't have lost to Falmouth, but it's one game, and it's a single elimination, one game, which is all high school playoffs here are. But like, you get a hot pitcher or your bats have a bad day, like anybody can beat anybody on any given day, especially in baseball. Like
I feel like baseball and ice hockey are the two ones. If goalie has a bad day, doesn't matter, and if the pitcher has a bad day, like again, Ben Lambert was a stud, has been a stud in college. Just had a bad first inning, gave up 6 runs that they can never recover. It's just like it's kind of a bad luck thing almost, but it's baseball is that sport where anything can happen, which makes it exciting.
Yeah, and you run into the pitcher on the other side. Like Ben Lambert's next year, his senior year, when I was a freshman, we lost to Portland 1-0.
Right.
And it's hard, but I think they get the guys to do it. I haven't sat down and gone to a game, but I've just kept up and following them. Hopefully they have the pitching, and the good thing about it is they're very, very young. Like,
it's a good future.
They could be playing with house money this year. The next year they can try to attack. I know Coach Laverriere is not going to like that. He's going to go all in for it, but they're an exciting team.
Definitely. So looking at some of the other sports we got. So Zach, talk about tennis. We talked a little bit about tennis back and forth. They're rolling again. So boys and girls tennis both won their preliminary matchup yesterday. That was the Class A South quarterfinals yesterday in pretty much either 5-0 or 4-1. So coming up tomorrow, Saturday, we have number 3 Portland at number 2 Thornton Academy boys tennis. And on girls tennis side, Kennebunk comes to Thornton Academy. 2 o'clock start for the girls, 3:30 for the boys. You can come out and watch. Thoughts on those? I know specifically I went to the Kennebunk TA girls match earlier this year. Very close. I actually think Kennebunk won that 3-2. Yeah. So what boys has been such a deep team year after year after year. I think it's like 9 straight years they've made it to this point in the playoffs, which is crazy. So what do you think? What do you think about those matchups, especially the girls as they try to get over the hump as well?
Well, yeah, they both had really good years. They didn't struggle too much, and I know that COVID is a little different with tennis, but they did a good job. And I had a couple friends who play on the boys tennis team, and they said they had a good first matchup, and they're excited to play in the next couple rounds. But yeah, they have a nice roster and a lot of young guys who've done well. I know that I think Cole Purvis plays on the tennis team, as well as I think Will Bedard, who's one of my friends. They both play, so they're both freshmen. So it'll be a good team, and hopefully they can make it far. But yeah, they've had a good team for the last couple of years.
Yeah, and they get some good leadership, especially the doubles. They have Waterhouse and Zach Howe as well that can play there. So I think the boys are definitely favorites against Portland. The girls against Kennebunk, I think it'll be a toss up. Again, baseball plays next Tuesday. The girls softball team, the softball team, plays on Tuesday at 4 o'clock. South Portland's coming to town on that one. They're the 5 seed in there. And again, boys and girls across. Boys across plays next week, I think Tuesday against Scarborough. And girls across, we're still waiting on the heels. So we'll see about that. So if you have any questions on that, again, just check Gary Stevens on Twitter, also at TA Trojan Sports on Twitter. All right, moving on. So let's talk some hockey to start off here. We'll talk about the Bruins Islanders series. Last night, kind of a crazy game. Islanders down most of the game, then they tie it late on. It looked like they had all the momentum. I think if that regulation lasted another 5 minutes, that it would have been a bad news for the Bruins. Goes to overtime, and really one of the most tame shots of the game, or at least from the tame angle, goes in. It's kind of a fluky goal. Now the Bruins are up 2-1, and I put in our thing, this is over, right? There's no chance the Islanders come back from this.
I think they do, to be honest. I don't think Marchand meant to shoot that. I watched his post-game interview, and he said he wasn't really trying to put it in that top corner. I mean, they've played well, but you know, in the middle of the game, in I don't know, it was game 2 when they were down 3-1. They were not playing well consistently throughout the game. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes 7 games, but I'm happy that we have the lead. I haven't been too worried. I'm more worried for, if we come up against Tampa Bay or Colorado in the next round.
Yeah, Cal, this has been an interesting year because, again, for someone, I'm not a huge hockey fan, just trying to figure out who the heck everyone's going to play after this series, because you got the Canadian teams who've been playing the Canadian teams.
Yeah.
They still don't have fans up there. But what have you seen from the series in general from the Bruins here in the first couple of rounds? And again, this is the same group they basically had for 10 years, and every year it looks like they're Stanley Cup bound, and then they run into a team. What do you think about them?
Yeah, well, Tampa's kind of been their kryptonite going forward, but this Islanders team is physical.
Yeah.
Man, they like to hit, especially, I forget if they're third or fourth line. They're just out there
They have a
laying
name
bodies
for it. What's
all
the name
time.
of their fourth line?
All I know is it's Cal Clutterbuck,
Yeah.
Casey Cizikas, and Matt
They
Barr.
have a name for it, like the
Yeah.
Defenders
Yeah.
or something like that, or the Messer. I'll look it up.
Yeah, they just want to hit. So they're a physical team. I think the Bruins. I think last night, if they would have lost the game, it would have been a very different story. But now, if they can win Game 4, which is going to be tough because Nassau Coliseum, very tough place to play.
Yeah.
But if they can win Game 4, I don't think it's going back there. But if the Islanders can win Game 4, right, and then I think it's still a series, but the Bruins winning last night, especially how dominant, like you mentioned, the Islanders were in that last 5 minutes of regulation. In the first 5 minutes of overtime, I get a little bit nervous, and then Marchand gets that goal. But I think it's a very competitive series.
It is, and I think if I'm an Islanders fan, the thing I think it's called the identity line. That's what I just saw online. That fourth line. If I was an Islanders fan, the thing I would be the most upset about is just their tentativeness to shoot. Like last night, there was sometimes, especially late in the game, where they were trying to do that third and fourth cross ice, pass to go to the back door, and it's like just put the puck on net. If you look at it, the Bruins have dominated in shots, and it's not just because even last night the Islanders had 23 or 4 shots in regulation. That's not enough in a playoff game, especially when they had a lot of possession. So I think if I'm them, you got to be a little more. Just throw the puck in the net, see if Rask gives up some fat rebounds on there. I think it's over. I think the Bruins, again, this is kind of like the first series against Washington. It's like the Bruins could be down 3-0 right now. Like if a couple bounces go one way or the other, but somehow they find a way to win.
Yeah.
But again, if they get past this, I think I saw the odds last night. Bruins are third highest odds to win the Stanley Cup. Colorado's by far the first, and then they have Tampa Bay after that. So we'll see how. Now, one thing in another series that definitely popped up was the suspension, and you're gonna have to. Why don't you give us a little overview of that of the hit? Which was, again, as an independent person, was a vicious hit. Kind of fun to watch, but obviously not a fun result.
Yes. So in the Montreal Jets game 1 in Winnipeg, the end of the game, one of the rookies, Jake Evans, went towards the net on an empty net and tried to wrap it around, and he kept his head down. And Mark Scheifele came in out of nowhere, or not nowhere, I would say, but was coming back to try to play defense and put a shoulder in, and he got hit pretty hard, and then was in the hospital and to get stretched off the ice. And the game of 4-game suspension, which I think is ridiculous. I think that
should be more.
No, less.
Oh, less.
I think that it was as much as he did. He wasn't going for the puck. I think that Evans had his head down, which he didn't have his head up and then just throw him into the boards. And I think that that's exactly what Corey Perry did to John Tavares.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there wasn't any suspension for that. Tavares, isn't still playing because the Maple Leafs are out, obviously, because they choked that series. But
as always,
yeah, not surprised. But I think that he, maybe 1 game, 2 games, a fine at most. But obviously, Chevy's their best player, so 4 games is going to hurt them. So hopefully they can still play, have a good series.
And Cal, in general, about hockey suspensions is always a hot topic. You have Tom Wilson, who basically gets away with murder.
It's a $5,000 fine.
Yeah,
it's the max.
Does this seem to you like an overreaction?
Yeah, I don't really know. Like I said, like Zach was saying, he had his head down, and he never really saw him coming. But at that point, I think it was under a minute left, right? It was
an empty net goal.
It was empty net goal, and he already scored it. He had no intention on playing the puck. I mean, it wasn't clean by any means. So, it was something that absolutely did not need to happen. And now this kid, he's a rookie, right, for Montreal?
Yep.
Now he's hurt. So, right. I don't think 4 games is too much at all. I don't.
I could see 3 games. The thing is, you always wonder, if he didn't get so hurt, if he was just,
fine,
knocked down, not fine, but okay, he's gonna miss a game. Would that have the fact that he was out cold on the ice? And I always wonder if those visuals sway the people who make the decisions. It could. I mean, you see that in every sport. It's I don't know. I think hockey needs to figure out their suspensions, their punishments. The NFL's kind of gone through this process in recent years. What's this? How many games for this versus that? And it was too arbitrary before, so I think hockey's probably got that in their horizon because. But it's a pretty vicious hit. I mean, it was something that everybody saw
and
the next
hits
day.
to the head in the NFL to the NHL is so different because Tom Wilson throws parent in the ground and gets a $5,000 fine, and in the NFL it's like a 5-game suspension and a huge fine for any hit to the head.
Yeah. Now wrapping up hockey, Brandon Carlo gets knocked out last night. Did not look good.
Yeah.
What do you think? Let's just assume he's out for the playoffs. How big of a hit is that for them?
Yeah, he's their biggest guy. The defense is too young. I don't like that they're too young. I don't really mind losing Krug, but even though I don't think Char is the best player, he's so tall and he's so aggressive, and that's who Carlo is. And Carlo's been hurt a couple times this year. He got hit by Tom Wilson earlier in the year. So hopefully he can come back. But I'm hopefully McAvoy and Grizzly can pull us through at least this series. I'd like to see us go to the Stanley Cup, but I wouldn't be surprised if
it's gonna be tough. When you get against a team, the defense is gonna be the Achilles heel of the Bruins. Like when they face a team that can score, because now, besides Ovechkin, you didn't really have many scores in that first series. And this series, they don't have any superstar scores.
Tampa Bay and Colorado have those scores.
Yeah. So we'll see. Interesting. So Game 5 is when?
Game 4 is Saturday
night.
And then
Game 4 Saturday night.
Yeah, every 2 days.
Gotcha. All right, moving on to basketball. So let's talk first Celtics. Huge shakeup. They as we said last week, I called either a sweep or a gentleman's sweep. I got the gentleman's sweep out of that. Not surprising there. But then even I was shocked at the movements that were made for the Celtics. So we'll start with Cal here. What were your reaction to both Danny leaving and Brad going to that role? Because they're really two separate things if you think about it.
Yeah, it was weird. It was very weird.
It was one of those wow. Like literally, I read them like wow.
Like when is the last time a coach is just like, all right, I'm gonna go up and be the general manager
at age 44 when you're supposedly the best coach in the league.
Is he general manager or assistant general manager?
No, he's gonna be the president of basketball operations.
Okay.
So he's gonna be like above the general manager.
Yeah. Like I don't know. Like the Raiders, right? Mike, what's his name? Mayock?
Mike Mayock.
Mike Mayock. He went from ESPN, right? And be like, all right, I'm going to be the Raiders general manager now.
Yeah.
But it's weird. Like he has no experience in this, and no wonder why he was shutting down all the Indiana rumors.
Right.
Like, why would he go back and coach Indiana? Wouldn't he be the Boston Celtics president of basketball ops, right?
Yeah.
So I just thought it was weird because I didn't think Danny was ready to go. I know he said he had that heart attack 2 years ago. He's talked about how he wanted more time with his family, but I didn't really think until it happened that he was going to be gone. And Brad Stevens coming up now, it's going to be very interesting who they hire as their head coach. I've heard some Sam Cassell rumors. I think he'd be great.
Chauncey Billups as well.
Yep. Chauncey Billups would be good too. A player who kind of, Sam Cassell obviously knows the Celtics system, but Chauncey Billups was obviously a better player than Sam Cassell was. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting, and let's see what Brad Stevens does because we're gonna find out what he thinks of his players. Like if he trades Marcus Smart, like how much did he think about Marcus Smart? And this Celtics team. That Kemba Walker contract puts him in a real tough spot. I think they got to keep him. I do.
It's really no option. You're not going to get much more on the market.
I know because you're gonna have to package like Walker, somebody else. I heard Walker, Romeo Langford, and like 2 first-round picks to dump that contract
just to get a middling player. Probably.
Yeah. At that point, it's not worth it.
Right.
Like you got to hold on to him and hopefully give him as much time off as he needs, and hopefully he can be a shell of himself. But I don't know. The Celtics are in a very interesting spot, and it's going to be a very weird offseason.
Yeah. Zach, do you think – I've seen this take. Do you think Danny Ainge was fired, or do you think he retired, in quotes?
Well, I think that he retired. Like Cal was saying that he wanted to spend more time with his family. I'm not surprised that he stepped down. I mean, it's all going to be who they hire as Celtics hire as a head coach. I mean, I'm waiting for them to do something stupid like let's go hire Doc Rivers or let's go hire some – coach who's been struggling somewhere else because he's gonna have success. But I think Cal is right. They got to keep Walker. I think that's just all they can do right now.
So my take on this is, and I don't always subscribe to the Felger and Maz kind of craziness, but I think they're right on. I think Danny was fired. Okay,
really?
And I think Brad was fired. Okay. I think so. Their point, which makes sense. So if you look at Ainge, if you listen to his press conference, he didn't technically retire yesterday. He retired from the Celtics, and I would be shocked if in 2 years from now he's not in the front office of another team.
You would be shocked if that happened?
I would not be shocked. I think he'll be back in Utah within a year.
Wow, that's wild.
Otherwise, with Brad Stevens, I think him going into that position makes no sense. Like if you step back from it, a guy with no experience is going to go into that position. 44 years old, one of the best up and coming coaches in the NBA. the reason they can't fire him is he's got 5 years and $35 million left on his contract. They'd have to pay him out for that. So what they do is they stick him in the front office. It remains to be seen how much power he'll really have. That and it will be an interesting year. If it shows that he doesn't have that much power in the organization, they're just going to buy time for two years down the road, and they can either another team will come on and sign him to be a coach, or let's release him. Again, 2 years from now, Brad Stevens will be coaching somewhere else, not in the front office, and Danny Ainge will be back in the front office of another team. Maybe not the GM, maybe some kind of higher consultant role. Because why wouldn't you say to Danny Ainge, why don't you just be a part-time consultant? Like, you see that all the time. If you don't want to do the stress,
retire.
I don't think so. He's brought property in Utah. I bet you the Utah Jazz within 2 years he's there. You mark it down on June 4th.
I'll hold you to it.
Okay, we'll see. But in general, Becky Hammond's also a name that's come up as possible.
She'd be great too.
But how, if you're Brad Stevens, how can you hire a coach with no experience? I mean, that's pretty risky because
that's all the names that
I know. But you look at the other. So you take Steve Nash. It's not a great example because first of all you have the super team, but also you have Mike D'Antoni as your assistant coach. It's probably the head coach running most of the stuff there. I know, but all these players are they're going to former players are becoming coaches, but in a situation where you're gonna have a first year GM and a roster who is pretty young already, it's going to be tough. I don't know. I have no idea where they're going to go. If I had to bet money on it, I would go Sam Cassell, Chauncey Billups, that kind of route. Because I don't think you want to retread, or they go crazy and go with one of the female coaches. But it's not a great spot, and I agree. I think I said on last week's podcast, it's all about the Kemba contract because you're screwed until that's gone because he has next year, and then the year after that's a player option. And what do you think he's going to do with a $37 million player option with a guy with no knees? Of course he's going to take that. So it's not a great spot. I mean, you just got to hope that they become better. But if you look around the league, look at Damian Lillard. You don't think he's looking over his shoulder today and saying, like, I got to get out of here. I'm going to go make a super team somewhere else. Not saying he's coming to Boston. I'm just saying he's at that time now. He's been in the league 8-9 years where it's like, all right, I got to go somewhere now. And so if you don't make that super team here in Boston, again, once Tatum and Brown get into their contracts, they're going to start looking over their shoulder too. So I don't know.
I don't know if I agree with you that they were both fired at the same time. And
because
fired,
why would they fire him and then like?
I don't want to say fired. I mean, fired is a strong word.
Put him like
promote
up at the
him,
top.
but again, it's such a opaque job title. We don't really know what's going to look like.
Yeah.
This wouldn't make sense to me if you're Brad Stevens. Like, why would you want to do that? If you could literally write your own ticket to almost any NBA team or college team right now and make tons of money. I mean, if you really want, when I saw his press conference the other day, and I know he's not the most animated person anyway, but I just didn't feel like. He was like, I'm really burnt out on coaching. Like, I have a small family, a young family. I want to do this. It just seemed like, this is a new challenge. We'll see how it goes. Like, I'm like,
maybe he loves Boston. Doesn't want to go anywhere.
That's fine too. But like, I don't know. But then be the coach. So something happened because
less travel.
I agree. It's a much easier job.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, being a GM,
it's a better job.
It is, but he's a coach. I don't know. I just know the green teamers are like, Danny Ainge is the best in the business, but he's gone. That's all right. Brad Stevens, best coach in the NBA. He's gone. We'll hire someone just as good. It's like, it's going to be very risky. But again, I wouldn't envy Brad anyway because I think that job, even as GM, if he gets full powers, I don't know what you do with this roster right now because you have no extra draft picks right now to trade around. You're going to have a middle of first round draft pick this year, so. It's tough, but it was a shocking moment. Also in the NBA, another shocking moment to me because I predicted all year, or at least the last few weeks, that the Lakers are going to go to the finals. Well, they're out to the Phoenix Suns. So what do you think, Zach? You want to throw some crow in my face there that Anthony Davis, who's Charles Barkley's calling street clothes now?
Yeah, I heard about that.
He tried to go last night, which I don't know. I'm a little skeptical that he was ever. I know he tried, but once he got hurt, this team has no other options.
Well, yeah, there's not much on that team, and like the one thing that it's not that I don't like, but I think it just doesn't work. Like last year when they won the finals, their team was made up of like Dwight Howard out of his prime, Rajon Rondo out of his prime. They just have a bunch of players that they just brought in. It's okay, you guys play the bench, and when LeBron needs a break, you guys go out there and play. And that didn't work this year. I'm not surprised. I think the Suns are great. I love Chris Paul, so
it's nice to see him get some success.
Yeah, I'm happy that they went through, but I'm not surprised. I think that LeBron is frustrated with his team. I don't know. I mean,
they'll go get Lillard.
Maybe he'll go somewhere else. I'm not sure, but Damian Lillard, man, I would be so frustrated. He played exceptional against Denver, and Denver doesn't have Jamal Murray.
Right.
So
that's what he was
not
frustrated
even
about.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think he'll end up anywhere like Boston, and I think he'll try to do something like the Nets, like join somebody else that's good. But no, not surprised LeBron is out. I'm kind of happy though. Somebody else can win. The finals.
I'm not displeased with the Lakers. I'm not a Lakers fan, obviously, but I just thought they would roll through. But Cal, who do you think is a favorite in the West now to face the Nets? Let's assume the Nets are going to go to the finals.
On record, I like the Bucks.
Oh,
Bucks?
Yeah.
On record,
Okay.
I
All
like.
right.
I like the. It might be because I hate the Nets so much.
Of course, they're most unlikable team.
They're
like,
awful.
Yeah,
and they get
terrible.
every superstar call in the book.
Big time.
Like,
they have 3 superstars. I mean,
every
yeah.
superstar call they get. So I'll be rooting for the Bucks. In the West is open now.
Yeah.
I really thought even before the playoffs start, I picked the Clippers to win the West.
Right.
But they're not in a good spot.
No.
They're in a bad spot right now. I mean, Porzingis is not playing good at all, but Luka is just carrying that team. I don't know. I think the West is wide open, and when it goes wide open, I like Utah right now.
Yeah.
I like the Jazz, especially the Nets. Not the Nets. The Nuggets with no Jamal Murray, right? The Suns. We still don't know about Chris Paul's health. Like he's not at 100% with his shoulder. They took care of the Lakers, but Booker went bananas in the first quarter last night. Chris Paul is still banged up. I don't know. I think it's open, and especially if the Mavericks knock off the Clippers, I like Utah out of the West.
It's interesting, yeah, because all those teams are pretty similar. They have like the one superstar, but the question's going to be with the West in general. Let's assume that one of those guys goes through and the Nets beat them. Or the Bucks beat them. Are one of those teams going to be like Oklahoma City that we had a few years ago, where it's like, okay, they made a great run, but those guys are not going to last there, and Golden State's going to come back up, or Lakers are going to come back up. So that's what's interesting about the West is what chance does any of those West teams have against Milwaukee? We'll throw the 76ers in there because they've been together for a few years with Doc Rivers as well, or the Nets. What do you think, Zach? Any of those teams have a chance now without the Lakers there?
I mean, I think that the West teams aren't terrible. I like the Utah Jazz, but the inexperience is the problem for me because I think that Gobert has played well. I think Donovan Mitchell's played well, but inexperience against a team, that would be the Lakers, but there's no one else. I think that the East teams have a good chance. I don't ever think Klay Thompson will ever get back to health. I don't think they'll ever have a Warriors team like they used to. But I would like to see Giannis win. I would like to see. I mean, even though I don't like the 76ers, I like to see. I don't want the Nets to win.
For the good of the league, you really want a team like the Jazz or somebody with these kind of solar superstars to win it, because if it keeps being the Nets and the Lakers and these super teams, it doesn't help. I think I just to wrap it up on the Nets, I think I saw a tweet the other day saying Kyrie made some ridiculous comment as usual in a post game saying the whole world is watching us and wants us to win, basically. And someone was like, literally every single person outside your locker room despises your team and everything you stand for. It's like just total delusion. But we've spent a lot of time on Kyrie before. All right, so that's what's going on in sports right now. We'll talk about a little bit of Red Sox on our season finale next week, and some Patriots and maybe some Falcons too. But moving on to kind of our off-the-wall segment here. So I saw some news. The Sea Dogs, something like July 27th, are going to be for one day like the Portland Red Snappers, talking about the hot dogs. So the question is, what's the best hot dog in the area?
That's a hard one. I like the Rapid Rays. That's a classic.
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not a big meat guy, so
I would
that.
say we've experienced some veggie Amato subs before basketball games.
I mean, Rapid Rays. Like I like the Hannaford, like the package. I know a lot of people are
Which one, the brown or the reds though?
Oh, brown. Red is disgusting.
Red Snappers are where it's at.
Ugh.
I'll tell you what. Here's one that you'll learn eventually when you get older.
Yep.
The Red Snappers outside of Home Depot. There's a guy who sits outside Home Depot.
I think he moved.
I heard that too because of COVID.
You know where
where's
he moved
at?
to?
No, where's he at?
Oh, I found him. Don't.
Well, let's see what time. He's probably there now.
Oh,
so.
he's there. He's on Route 1 in Biddeford.
Yeah.
Past Dairy Queen, there's that light there to take a right to go down that industrial park. Keep going. It's the industrial metal warehouse supply.
Okay.
You know where that is?
Yep.
They have all the little tools and stuff.
Yep.
He's in that parking lot.
Really?
I've given him some visits.
Okay. He's got it's a great deal. Like the 2 dog deal. It's like 2 dogs, a Coke, and like a chips for like $5 or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've
for Rapid Rays, I like wraps, but someone got on me 2 years ago of you toast the bun. You get the bun toasted instead of steamed. Ooh, my goodness, it's pretty good. But a steamed dog for me is I'm more of a grilled dog guy. But
Really?
What's your favorite around?
I don't go, like I said, I visited that Home Depot guy, but I'm not going around, having hot dogs everywhere I go.
Yeah, just testing out the hot dogs.
You guys are missing out.
I'm not going places. Give me a hot dog. That's not my thing. I mean, I love going to Hadlock and getting a hot dog. Obviously, the ballpark hot dogs are great. They're in Fenway.
But if you're cooking one at home, then what are you cooking one at home? Are you getting brown? Are you getting red? Is there a
I'm
certain
getting
brand?
brown KM.
KM. Okay, KM's not bad.
Yep. That's where I'm going with. I've had some friends, from school come up and visit, so we've been having some more Reds, give them that Maine flair.
They're freaked out the first time they see it. They're like, is this spicy? Is this? I'm like, no, it's fine. Just eat it. I'll tell you what, also on a golf course, if you're on a golf course, when you hit in the turn, nothing like a red snapper out of there.
I don't know.
Interesting. All right.
I'm
anyway,
not hitting turns on golf courses with a red snapper.
Well, again, when you get older, these are the things that you'll notice. I love the guy. When the guy, literally, I'd get out of my car at Home Depot like 10:30 on a Saturday, and I'm like, yes, he's there.
The guy's the man. Yeah.
I'm like, I had to run through my groceries quick to get. He had a lot of good stuff there. Anyway, now I'm going to visit. I'm going to go take a visit over to Biddeford today. So that's what's happening late July. I know that they've done a lot of cool promotions there. They've done a Star Wars Day.
The main Whoopies last year.
Whoopies pie, yeah. I got a Star Wars jersey signed by somebody. It was like 4 or 5 years ago, and it was a lottery. You paid like $100. And they gave away the jerseys, and it was somebody. I think it was maybe Xander Bogaerts or somebody was playing there, and they gave away jerseys. I forget who I got. I don't think he became a major leaguer, but I'll have to.
So it wasn't Xander Bogaerts.
Not that I got. I did not get Xander.
He wants to think it was Xander Bogaerts.
I got some pitcher. I think that we'll see. Maybe he'll turn into something good. All right, as we wrap up here, this is our longest episode yet, but it's been a lot of good stuff. So just in general, best part of summer. We've got one more week until summer vacation. Zach, I know you're working. If you want to give a shout out to your work and where we can come visit you, do they have hot dogs there? What are you most looking forward to this summer?
Well, we do sell hot dogs at Ken's Seafood in Scarborough.
Ken's Seafood,
right near Pine Point. It's a very nice restaurant.
Very busy, so call ahead, right?
Yeah. It gets busy pretty quick. But my favorite part of summer is it's hard. I mean, my family goes and rents a house on Front Island every summer for a week, which is a lot of fun. I love Front Island and being outside, but I like the hot days where you kind of sit inside, maybe like watch a sporting event, and you're not technically outside, but you're just enjoying the summer and relaxing. And I'm happy that school's over in a week. I've been done with school for a couple of weeks, and it's like, okay, one more day, one more class, but it'll be over soon. So I'll be working and I'll be hanging out and be ready for next year. And
one thing that I've told is you guys, college guys, Kyle, you can talk about have a wicked long vacation. You guys have like 4 months off sometimes. But for you, what are you looking forward to this summer? And will you go back to Syracuse early because of covering sports?
I don't know how early I'm going to go, but for me, this answer is it's a lock. It's baseball. It's easy. I mean, it's the summer.
You're a baseball guy.
I am. Yeah, I'm going to be down in Cape Cod this summer covering the Cape Cod League.
Oh, very cool.
I'm looking forward to that. I got a place down there for the summer. So, yeah, I'm really excited. Looking forward going down next week. So, my first taste of the Cape Cod League, it's going to be a lot of fun. So, I'm looking forward to that.
Now, they didn't have it last year, right?
Nope.
They canceled it. So that's what's that? It's a really terrible movie about the Cape Cod Summer League. It's called Summer League, starring Freddie Prinze Jr. If you look it up, it's horrible. It's horrible from a baseball standpoint. It's like a love story about the guy goes, Cape Cod wants to go to the pros. Anyway, that's not a recommendation, but if you really want to watch a bad baseball movie, his like pitching motion is like really terrible. But Cape Cod League, that's pretty cool. So good luck with that. And Zach, I'll just finish it up with you here. We look towards next year. What are you looking forward to most for fall sports, considering we didn't really have much of a season? Is there one team or one game or one experience you're looking forward to here on TA to coming back in the fall?
Well, I'm looking forward to being able to go to a football game. I know that we may not be able to do every broadcast every football game, so to be able to go as a fan will be fun. But I'm actually looking forward to the winner. I want to see how that basketball team does. There's no more Dylan Griffin, no more Peyton Jones. They have guys, Anthony Jones, Cody Ruff. They've got some guys, and I like broadcasting, especially like teams that are underdogs. I like hoping that we can win, rather than knowing that we're just gonna blow Peyton Jones and Dylan Griffin are gonna go out and blow out a team, a team every night. So I'm looking forward to next year and broadcasting for our sports.
Awesome. And as we wrap up, Cal, any final thoughts? If you, we always give our guests a chance to do shout-outs on their social medias if you want to find information about, or maybe the website of where they can find your broadcast for next year. What would you like to say?
Yeah. I'm growing my Twitter. So at CalChristo1 on Twitter, give that a follow.
At CalChristo1.
Yep.
Okay.
Got a nice follow from Mr. Pulsifer the other day. That was really, really big, really exciting.
He's going to ask you to do something now.
Yeah. Yep.
That's how it works.
So, and then WER Z89 is our Syracuse station, Citrus TV. Also, I know you're a big fan of
big time.
The work
we're all over that. Don't worry.
Citrus TV. So looking forward to going back in the fall.
And when you go to Cape Cod?
Monday.
So this is it. Okay, so your last weekend, and then off to Cape Cod.
Yep, for the
Awesome.
summer to watch the future 2021 champion Born Braves.
That's right. All right. All right, well, thanks very much for joining us, Cal and Zach, as always. We'll be back next week with our final episode of the school year, then we'll take a summer break. We'll hopefully talk some playoff action and get some another athlete in here to talk about who's going to the state championship. Hopefully, we'll have some baseball guys in here. And other than that, we'll check you all later. Have a good day.